Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now what I'm going to do today is another video on the Irish NCT is a joke. I did a video about a year or so on a car that passed that shouldn't have done, but what I want to get clear on this video is obviously because I got a lot of comments as you would expect. I am not blaming the guys who work in the NCT centres. It is not their fault. They have a certain set of things to look out for and to check. It's the system. I don't like the system. It's not the guy's fault that work there, so if anyone says I'm saying this, I'm not. I'm only, the guys that work there have to check certain things and have to basically have a big checklist, and they can only check on that list. They can't really go off list as such. So this is not a dig at anyone that works there, it's a dig at the system. And as everybody knows, well, anybody in Ireland, it is just a money racket. It's a piece of paper for the cops, that's all it is. Just because a car is past an NCT, which you're going to see here, doesn't mean the car is safe on the road. So I get questions a lot by say, you know, my car needs £1,000 spent on it. Should I buy a new car? You know, I can get a newer car and it has an NCT in it. Just because you buy a newer car doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a better car. From the outside of this car, it looks really nice and clean, but when you get underneath it, you just kind of see how bad it is. Now, this car did fail, and I'll show you what it failed on, but I'm also going to show you what it's passed on, and in my opinion, it shouldn't have done. So like I said, I don't need any more comments about blah, blah, blah. I'm not blaming the guys, I'm blaming the system. It's the system that is wrong. Right, I've just zoomed into the back shock and I'm not going to really touch it. As you can see, it is very, very rusty. It is just absolutely flaking off. If I got a hammer, I know for a fact I could smash through that and I could make this leak. I just know I could. It is that rusty. If you actually hit this at all, it would leak. That passed. And there wasn't even a mention that this was a problem. Now, I've showed the customer, and even the customer agrees with me that this is a problem and they are getting it sorted. But what I'm trying to say is this passed. Now, if you're going around a corner and this decides to pop and fail, well, you could be in an absolute world of trouble. The other one is just as bad, the far side. So as we can see, just as rusty, just as bad. And again, I know I could pop that if I really wanted to. Now, it's not as bad as the last car, to be fair. The last car I did was a hell of a lot worse. But the other problem with this car is the brake. Now, I can't quite show you this without taking all the tyres and stuff off, but if you listen to this wheel spinning, it kind of sounds okay. Hopefully this is going to come through on camera. Listen to this wheel spinning. It's really rough. This brake is just rusty. It's just completely gone, but it's still passed. Now, as you can see, that is the brake disc through the wheel, and you can just see how rusty that is. There's no way that can be braking properly. There is just no way, and yet it passed. When you look from this side, yeah, the brake pad or the brake disc looks absolutely fine. Same with this one, it looks fine. But because it's gone, you have to replace both pads and discs at the back. And these pads or these discs are quite expensive because they've got the bearing in. So, you know, again, the customer is going to replace them. But what I'm saying is it's passed. So don't buy a car just because its car is passed. Doesn't mean you have to spend money on it. This is what I'm trying to really get at. Just because you've got a car with an NCT in it doesn't mean it's safe. Now, I suppose it's the same all the way around the world, depending where you are. You know, there's cars that pass that shouldn't, there's cars that pass that should, and you know, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not saying every car, but I'm just saying just because you buy a car off the strength of an NCT doesn't mean it's a good car. Simple as that. This is a case in point. Now, the front disc is just as bad as regards, again, I'm not going to be able to show you because it's not rusty. There's just a huge lip on it, so the disc is actually thin. And what happens is when a disc is too thin, when the metal heats up, it can't get rid of the heat properly. That's why a brake is a certain thickness, and the newer brakes on, you know, cars the last 20 odd years have a groove in the middle of them. So they have like 2 discs and a groove in the middle. They're a vented disc to get the heat away quicker, because then you don't get brake fade. The thinner your brakes get, when the hotter the brakes get, you get what's called brake fade. So you push the pedal and nothing really happens. It is really dangerous, but yet this passed. So, you know, it just gives you an idea of basically, just don't think your car is good even though it's passed. Or don't buy a car because it's got a year's NCT on it and your car is maybe going to cost a few £100 to fix. The way I see it is, if you've had that car for a few years and you've done a few bits to it and you're going to do a few more bits, at least you know what's done to the car and what isn't done to the car. So you have a better idea. In my opinion, depending on the car, obviously, if it needed 3,000 or 4,000 spent on it, obviously, you know, yeah, get another one. But if it only needs, you know, if the car's worth 2 grand and it needs 700-800, well, put that money in, because at least you know exactly what you've done or what you haven't done, basically. So, like I said, this is not as bad as the other one, but I'm going to show you what this car failed on, which, to be fair, I have no problem in what it failed on. It's a little thing, but I've no problem in what it failed on. Now, this car failed on the back brake light is taped up. Now, it's the back middle brake light, and yes, 100%, I agree with it. I don't think it should be taped up because brake lights are important. But this passed for the last 3 years like this. They've had this tape on, they've replaced it every year, and it's passed for the last 3 odd years with this tape on. Now they've failed it, which, to be fair, I have no problem with in the world. I think it should be working. But I also think it should have failed on them other things as well. But that's just me. Blaming the system is wrong. For things like this is just ridiculous. I know on the front of your car, if you've got spotlights and you tape up both the spotlights, for example, some spotlights are cracked and they can fail for the actual light is cracked. But if you put black tape over both of them, they can't fail it. Now, again, it's madness to me. Either the light should be working or they shouldn't be. If you're going to pass them because you've got black tape over, well, then pass them that they're not working, because all anyone does is peels the tape off when they come back out. And the reason they put the tape on is, like I said, because the lights are cracked and they could be a couple of £100 each. So they don't want to put the money into it. So they just tape them up. But this is what I'm saying. The system is wrong. You know, it should either work or it shouldn't. Putting black tape on things isn't the answer. What difference does it make? The light is still here. Just because there's black tape, what difference does the black tape do? Black tape's not going to make the car safer. Not going to make it do anything. It's stupid. Sort it out properly. It's ridiculous how the system works. And everyone that has always come to me and they've had problems with NCT, they just say it's a money racket, it's a money racket, it's a money racket. Because on certain things you have to pay to put it back on the machine. Now, if it's just a thing like this is a visual, so he doesn't have to pay anything. But if the headlights are a bit out of adjustment, they have to put it back on the machine and they charge you another 28, 30 odd euro just to do that. If your debushings were gone, they charge you another 30 odd quid just to retest them. It's wrong. It's just wrong. But because it is basically like a government-ran scheme, it's not it's not each garage like it is in the UK. It is just a money racket. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that even in the UK there's not dodgy people, because of course there is. All the way around the world there is. But the way it works here with a private company running the NCT is just, it's a joke. And everybody will agree with me who lives in Ireland, because I get it every day of the week. People tell me how much of a joke it is. It's not just me. I get it every day of the week. I'm not blaming the guys who work there. It's not their fault. They can only do as they're told. It's as simple as that. They can't go off script because they'll get into trouble. So I understand where they're coming from. And I know even some of them are frustrated, but there's nothing they can do. They don't want to rock the boat. So it's the system. The system has to change. Anyway, look, enough of that. So yeah, that's just a quick video. And like I said, comment as you will. I'm sure I'm going to get a few more bad comments about it. I'm not particularly, well, I'm not, like I said, I've said it, I'm not blaming the people that work there, it's the system. So look, anyway, hope it helps. Thumbs up and subscribe and all that. Don't forget, most importantly, get your hands dirty. We'll see you for the next one.